The end is officially here. Stranger Things is officially ending, and we just got the final 2 episodes leading up to that explosive battlefield finale in the Abyss, because we just learned about the Abyss as well, and the Upside Down is not all that we have to worry about. So let's quickly go through these 2 episodes, and then we'll give a big theory of where we could be seeing the finale go into, what direction, and we'll also do another video tomorrow talking about that play that I think is so important. They should have shown the play in some capacity on Netflix for us to really get into all of these details, because it's interesting. But we'll talk about that play tomorrow. Let's quickly go through these first 2 episodes that we got on Christmas Day. It's Christmas Day, y'all. Merry Christmas. If you haven't given me a present, y'all, just subscribe. That's my only present you can give to me, and I would really appreciate it. My goal is to get to 44,000 subscribers before the year ends. So let's get into what happened in these 2 episodes. With the biggest one is Max is awake, y'all. Max is awake. So Max and Holly, of course, were being captured in what they call Camazotz, and Max believes that they are able to get back to the real world, of course, using their own tether, a emotional tether, she says. Now for Max, this emotional tether is going to be Kate Bush's song that it really has helped her throughout. We saw the previous season as well. But for Holly, it's going to be something different, which of course it turns out to be that necklace that Mike gave her, which is Holly the Heroic. And this opens up a portal that shows her her physical body. Now Max tells her that the Upside Down is just a reflection of Hawkins, and that she has to find her way home upon waking. Then she will be rescued. Now this works for Max, as she's able to escape, but Holly isn't. But let's backtrack a little bit, because the 2 of them find out that there was a cave that Henry was hiding and that he didn't want to go into because it was something that was so traumatic to him, and we didn't know what the hell this cave was. Now according to the play, it's a cave in which a young Henry, when he was about 8 years old and living in Nevada, went into, and he came across a scientist that shot him, and then Henry ended up killing that scientist with a rock, and then he ended up going into Dimension X, or as we know, the Abyss, for a couple of hours, came out, was never the same. Henry now had a darker side, and that's why he's been sort of pushing that memory away. And like I said, Max ends up waking up, and she is now in the hospital with the rest of the gang, but we do see that Holly ends up not making it and then gets taken by Vecna. Nancy, however, is able to spot this and hear her as well, and she realizes that Holly was falling into the Upside Down, so that means she was coming from above, because indeed the Abyss is right above the Upside Down. Because what's going on here is that the Upside Down isn't really per se a place, it's more like a bus stop. It is a wormhole that connects our world to the Abyss. The Abyss is the place that Henry was sent to by 11 after the events at the lab with the massacre and all. And we realize now that the Upside Down really isn't where Vecna has been this whole time. He has been in the Abyss, and he's been going back and forth through the Upside Down to the real world and all of that. So Vecna's pretty much just using this as a way to get around really quick. And what he's trying to do now is bring the Abyss crashing down into the Upside Down, so then that there is no more link between the Abyss and the real world, and both worlds are just going to collide and combine. And that is his ultimate goal that he is trying to achieve here by doing so. And what happens in these 2 episodes is, of course, we know that some of our characters were in the Upside Down, but they're able to make it back when they create these little mini gates, and they're able to go forth because of Nancy finding this organic matter that she's able to shoot down. Then they realize we have to go back to the Upside Down, because that's the only way we're going to be able to save Holly, who now has been taken by Vecna and Mr. Whatsit, and now the rest of the kids as well. The Hawkins 12 that are missing are with Mr. Whatsit. As the episode ends, we see that they are doing some weird ritual seance bullshit, and Mr. Whatsit just has them all turning into these mindless zombies that he's going to be using now in order to hijack their brains and their minds to create a better world, as he says. He just wants to harness their powers in order to amplify his even more, just as he did with Will back in the day. Imagine what he's going to do with all of these children in the next episode. So yes, as we know know now the Upside Down has always been a connection that was used in order to go forth from the abyss into the real world. And this was actually when they discovered Dr. Brenner's journals inside the facility's secret room. What they discover is that Dr. Brenner was actually using 11 to seek out not just Demogorgons the night we went missing, but also for Henry, because 11 had vanished Henry into the abyss. This is where Henry was actually sent by 11 at the end of the previous season, and we realize now that 11 is the one that created the Upside Down. Before her, the Upside Down never existed. She created it that night after, when Dr. Brenner was looking for Henry and was looking for the Demogorgons. She created this transit zone between both worlds. Vecna's in the abyss, and he's trying to bring the abyss now into our world. The abyss is where the Demogorgons, the Demodogs, and also the Mind Flayer are originating from. And it's safe to say that Henry probably came across the Mind Flayer when he was 8, and this is why he has been sort of attached to it always and ended up there as well. And we also learn, of course, that Henry's blood was being used for the unborn babies, including 11, so that's why they also have these powers, because Henry ultimately came across the Mind Flayer when he was young. It sort of infected him in a way, and this infection in his blood continues, and that's why they were using it on babies like 11 to see if they could harness those powers for future soldiers or whatever they were trying to do, right? And this is what Dr. K is trying to do now. That's why Dr. K wants 11. She wants 11's blood. She tried to do this with Callie, but the mothers didn't survive, and they just didn't work, the experiment. So maybe with 11's blood it could work. She is the one that defeated Henry after all. So Dr. K just wants to use 11's blood, just as Dr. Brenner used Henry's blood back in the day. We also hear, of course, Callie tell 11 this, that as long as she's out there, the military will never stop, and they want her blood. Her and 11 should just stay in the abyss and just keep away so that nobody else can ever be harmed, because once 11 is gone, there's nobody else's blood that they can use. And if they destroy the transit zone of the Upside Down, and nobody can get into the abyss anymore to try and get to the Mind Flayer. So ultimately that's all going to be gone, but 11 must sacrifice herself and a happy life with Mike and everybody else in order to do so. So we don't know where it's going to happen. It seems that 11 is also pretty undecided, so could it be a very sad ending for 11? So the plan now is going to have to go get Holly, but also to stop Vecna from merging both worlds. And what they realize is that Vecna is bringing the abyss down to the Upside Down so it gets closer to the real world. They say, let him do this, let him bring it as close as possible to the Upside Down, so then we can go into the abyss ourselves, destroy the matter that he's using, and also free the kid so his power is not amplified, and finally seal him away into the abyss for good, so both worlds will never collide and be together, which was his ultimate plan, just to create this chaos. Will, however, has to make a confession that he, of course, is gay, and the reason he does this is because Vecna has been using this shame and guilt on him throughout these years, and now that he has freed himself and he can be himself, there is no more of that, and now he has more control over himself. There is nothing there anymore that is shaming him or holding him back. The plan here now is to also make Vecna relive that memory in the cave, which is going to weaken him a bit, and at the same time save the rest of the kids, get them out of there, destroy the Upside Down so there is no more connection to the abyss, and thus they are able to seal away Vecna. That's the last plan for the final episode, and we'll see what's going to happen. There's a lot of things that are up in the air right now with the finale and what's going to happen, of course. Like the biggest one is, what will 11 do? Because of course, if they seal away Vecna and they're able to defeat Vecna, you still have the military you have to be aware of, because they're not going to stop, because they want 11's blood, because they want to continue this research. They want to see if they can create sort of super soldiers, in my mind. And the reason that they want to do this is because Dr. Brenner has already showcased to them it's possible. When he used Henry's blood, he was able to take these unborn babies, turn them into something else, like they did with Callie, like they did with 11 and the other kids that Vecna massacred in that lab. And so it doesn't seem that 11 will ever get a happy ending unless she just goes MIA, or what if she decides to stay with Callie in the abyss, or maybe something else. So I think there's a lot here on 11's mind, and it's going to be interesting to see what she does does, but we'll talk more about that in theories this weekend, so stay tuned for that. I think also Vecna's plan, of course, is just to create as much chaos as possible and be the Lord Supreme of both worlds, because he knows how to navigate both of them, and with all of this power he's harnessing from these children. The reason he took them is because when he took Will, he realized how much more his power could be amplified using him. Now imagine with 12 children that he has taken. It seems that Vecna truly is trying to bring the world to an end so he can become the new leader of it, and he's using the children for that. The plan of the group, I think, is a pretty interesting one as well, because it is a very high risk one, because the abyss is coming down and it's coming to our world, and they have to act quick and they have to act smart in order to be able to blow up the connection, get Vecna away from the kids, get the kids to safety, go back to the real world, and seal off the abyss for good. And I just don't know how they're going to pull it off, but with Callie, with 11, and with Will's powers, I think they'll be able to do that. It seems also that Will's powers are so connected to Vecna. Once Vecna is defeated, then he won't have those powers anymore, but I don't think Will cares as long as Vecna's gone, right? That's all that matters here. It's going to be an interesting next episode. That is the finale, and it is going to be as a movie of sorts that's going to be playing in theaters. I don't think I'm going to be watching it, y'all, but you let me know if you're going to be watching it in the comments down below. I thought it was a great ending. Max is now being used for her ability to know more of where she's going, so she's like the navigator down here, and it's setting up for a pretty big epic showdown. I really do wonder though why they didn't show us the play anywhere. Like, you have a lot of information there, but we'll cover the play in the video tomorrow and talk about its importance, because that definitely is where Vecna's evil and everything stems from, is that sort of experience he had in the play, and that really shaped him into the person he is now, because that first kill he did on that scientist and his time with the mind flayer in the abyss really made him who he is in this episode now, right? Into Vecna, the evil and all of that it came with. And I am curious to see how Vecna reacts to those memories now, because if they're going to use that against him, I do wonder how that's going to play out. But yeah, the finale was great. The seance was creepy. It seems that Vecna's plan is in full motion, and indeed the end is near. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on it down below. I think definitely we might get a sacrifice, though the Duffer Brothers did say that they're not like Game of Thrones, so don't expect something crazy, but they do feel happy with the finale and said it's a finale they've been thinking about for years. So I don't know if we'll get somebody being heroic and sacrificing themselves, but I do feel like we are going to get a bittersweet type of ending where everybody's okay, but it's everybody together, right? Like, I think that's going to be the type of ending we get, especially with 11. Like I said, even though she might save the world against Vecna and all of that, the military is still going to be after her, because the military is the military, and that's just what they're going to do. So 11 and Mike and everybody, will they be together? I just don't think so. Will they be free, and will they be alive and happy? I believe so. So we'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Stay tuned for my theories. We'll talk about the play tomorrow and what it showcases and why it's important right now. So stay tuned for that. But as always, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We got one more Stranger Things video to cover before the end of the year and before the series just completely wraps. So don't miss out on it. I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe. Stay positive.